Remember those Saturday morning cartoons that made you think, did I just dream that? The 1970s created some of the most bizarre and creative cartoons ever made, but 99% of them have been completely erased from memory. Today we're digging up 9 of the strangest, most forgotten cartoons from the 70s. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Hollywood has been stealing ideas from these forgotten 70s gems for the past 50 years. Alright, let's kick this off with a cartoon so unbelievable, it starred one of the most famous athletes in history. Back in 1977, someone actually convinced Muhammad Ali to voice himself in his own cartoon show, like the actual boxing legend was doing voice acting for Saturday morning TV.
Well, if you want to know what I really think about this next man I'm going to fight, I understand he's so ugly, skinny, and weak.
The whole concept was insane. Instead of just showing him boxing, they made him this globe-trotting superhero who solved crimes and fought bad guys all over the world. He didn't go alone though. His niece and nephew would tag along on these crazy adventures, and Ali would use his boxing skills and street smarts to outsmart villains and help people out. Each episode was like a mini-action movie with life lessons thrown in about courage and doing the right thing. But here's the thing that makes this show so wild. Only 13 episodes were ever made before it got cancelled. The ratings just weren't there, which is honestly crazy when you think about it. And if you thought that was ridiculous, this next show mixes pop music, magic portals, and one of the biggest singers of the 70s. Mission Magic was one of the strangest Saturday morning shows of the 70s, and it starred none other than pop singer Rick Springfield. The plot followed Miss Tickle, a magical school teacher, and her class of students who travelled through a magic portal to different worlds. Every week, the gang would solve a problem or help someone in need, often with Rick Springfield showing up to sing a song connected to the story. The show blended fantasy, music, and a bit of moral teaching, all in under 30 minutes. Miss Tickle used her magic ring and talking cat, Tut Tut, to open the portal, and then they were off on some crazy adventure. It only lasted 16 episodes, but it had this odd mix of celebrity guest stars and fairy tale storytelling that made it stand out. Well, that's wild. But now let's switch gears to a stunt-riding daredevil who could rival Evel Knievel. Devlin was Hanna-Barbera's attempt to make a more serious, dramatic cartoon, and it worked in a unique way. It followed Ernie Devlin, a motorcycle stunt rider who toured the country with his younger siblings, Todd and Sandy, as part of a travelling circus. Every episode had Ernie performing insane jumps, flips, and dangerous tricks, all while teaching some kind of life lesson about responsibility, courage, or helping others. He was basically the Evel Knievel of cartoons, but with a much kinder personality. The show mixed stunt action with everyday drama, like helping kids in trouble or dealing with shady characters on the road. It had more of a real-world tone than most Hanna-Barbera shows at the time. No talking animals, no magic portals, just people trying to do the right thing. The animation was simple but realistic enough to make the stunts feel exciting. Even though it only ran for 16 episodes, it stood out because it tried to show the dangers of stunts and the importance of safety. Alright, realistic stunts are cool, but how about turning the Three Stooges into bumbling robot superheroes? This was exactly what it sounds like, the Three Stooges as robots. The Robonic Stooges took Moe, Larry and Curly and turned them into clumsy cyborg superheroes working for a secret crime-fighting organization. They had gadgets built into their robotic bodies, spring-loaded arms, extendable legs, jet boosters. But just like the real Stooges, they were a total mess when it came to actually doing their jobs. They'd accidentally destroy property, trip over each other, and generally bumble through missions, but somehow still save the day. The humour was all slapstick, with plenty of eye pokes, head bonks and pratfalls, just like the live-action originals. The animation wasn't anything fancy, but it captured the goofy chaos of the Stooges style. It started as a segment on the Skatebirds before getting its own short-lived series. Robot slapstick is one thing. Now meet the jungle heroine who's swinging into danger to save her missing dad. Jana of the Jungle was Hanna-Barbera's female twist on Tarzan. The main character, Jana, was a young woman who grew up in the jungle after her scientist father went missing. She learned to survive by swinging through trees, riding elephants, and using her animal friends to help her. She was smart, brave, and determined to protect the jungle from poachers, loggers, and other villains who wanted to harm it.
Help me guard the jungle and those who dwell within it. I grew up by the laws of nature, and the animals of the jungle became my friends. I am Jana of the jungle.
Jana wore a leopard print bikini top and skirt, and she carried a special necklace from her father that she believed held clues to finding him. Every episode was a mix of action, environmental messages, and her ongoing quest to reunite with her dad. It had all the classic jungle adventure elements: wild animals, quicksand, hidden temples, but with a strong female lead, which was rare in cartoons at the time. The animation style was similar to other Hanna-Barbera adventure shows, like Jonny Quest and Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. It only ran for one season as part of the Godzilla Power Hour, but Jana still stands out as one of the few 70s cartoon heroines leading her own show. And if you think she's impressive, the next jungle hero is one of the most famous in history, but smarter than you've ever seen him. This version of Tarzan was actually pretty faithful to the original Edgar Rice Burroughs books, which made it different from most cartoon adaptations. In Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, Tarzan was a smart, noble protector of the jungle, not just a guy who yelled and swung on vines. He could speak multiple languages, reason with animals, and outthink villains. Each episode had him dealing with threats like poachers, treasure hunters, or dangerous creatures, while also exploring lost cities and hidden civilizations deep in the jungle. The animation was surprisingly good for a Saturday morning show, with detailed jungle backgrounds and a more realistic Tarzan design. It ran for several seasons, which was rare for a 70s cartoon, and it's still considered one of the better Tarzan adaptations for kids.
I would have soon perished too had I not been found by a kindly she-ape named Kala, who adopted me as her own and taught me the ways of the wild. I learned quickly and grew stronger each day, and now I share the friendship and trust of all jungle animals.
Now we're leaving the vines and heading onto roller skates for the weirdest race you've ever seen. This one's pure 70s weirdness. Bailey's Comets was about a roller skating team traveling the world in a big race to win $1 million prize. But it wasn't just a normal race. They were competing against a bunch of wacky rival teams, each with a crazy theme. There were the Texas Black Hats, the Jekyll Hydes, the Roller Bears, and even a vampire team. The main team, Bailey's Comets, was made up of sporty teenagers who had to outskate, outsmart, and outrun the others in each leg of the race. It ran for 2 seasons, which is impressive for a gimmick show, but it never became a classic.
We find Bailey's Comets just a-galloping out there in the lead.
Wrong, dude. The rambling rivets are using a catapult device to catapult themselves into first place.
But some cartoons decided to go backwards in time instead of forwards. And that's how we got The Roman Holidays, which was essentially a 1970s suburban sitcom that happened to be set in 63 AD. The Holiday family, Dad Gus, Mum Laurie, their kids, and their pet lion Brutus, lived in an apartment complex called the Venus de Milo Arms. The whole concept was taking modern family problems and giving them Roman-themed solutions. Instead of driving cars, they had chariots. Instead of wearing jeans and t-shirts, everyone wore togas and laurel wreaths. Every episode dealt with totally normal sitcom stuff: work problems, annoying neighbors, family arguments, money issues, but with ancient Roman twists.
Now, what makes you think it was my lion?
All we have to do is check his paws.
Well, that's not possible. Why, Brutus isn't, he's,
That's right. He's, that is, I don't see him.
The show only lasted 1 season and didn't get much rerun time after it ended. And time travel wasn't the only way to create strange settings. Some shows went underwater to imagine our future. Before Adult Swim turned it into a comedy, there was the original Sealab 2020, which was actually a serious science fiction cartoon about underwater exploration. This show imagined what life would be like in the year 2020, which seemed super futuristic back in 1972, with humans living and working in massive underwater research stations. Captain Mike Murphy was in charge of this huge facility called Sealab, where 250 scientists, engineers and explorers lived full-time studying the ocean. Their mission was to protect marine life, conduct research, and deal with various underwater dangers like pollution, aggressive sea creatures, earthquakes, and people trying to harm the environment.
This is the year 2020. The place is the Challenger Seamount, the top of an underwater mountain. A complex beneath the sea. 250 men, women, and children live here, each of them a scientist pioneer. For this is our last frontier, a hostile environment.
Even though it had important messages and cool visuals, the show only lasted 13 episodes. Most people today only know about it because of the Adult Swim parody version that came out in the 2000s. Which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments.